Welcome to Chronic Briefs, episode 8. Yes, 8 episodes. Ocho, huit, torino? Whatever. It's 8 full episodes, and we are nearing the end of season 1, if you can believe it. Now, if this video is a few days late, I'm sorry. The power company just couldn't seem to keep the lights on as usual, and it's infuriating. And if this video isn't late, then forget everything I just said. Before we go on, though, please, if you like Chronic Briefs, and you like what we do here, and you don't want any puppies or kittens to die, then please give us a like, a subscribe, a share, anything that'll help get our message to as many people as possible. That being said, I think it's safe to say that no video series talking about some of the most pressing issues of living with chronic illness would be complete without talking about that most complicated of topics, relationships. Now, we all know that dating and beyond is not easy, even when you're quote-unquote healthy. But the more fun aspects of being in a relationship that you all know and love get ramped up to 11 if you involve chronic illness and disability. It's like walking out on an iced-over pond. Sure, it's kind of dangerous for regular people, to venture out onto the ice not knowing what to expect or whether or not they'll fall through. And then having their partner say, "I told you so," when they fall in. But suffering from chronic illness and disability is like walking out onto that same ice that normal people do, except you have to carry your significant other on your back. Literally. Like on your back. Like a weirdly friendly Sherpa. So, not only does that make you heavier and more likely to fall through, but it also makes it much harder to find a safe place to step. And, most importantly, you feel like you are the one who is mainly responsible for keeping the relationship above the waterline. But before all of that begins, you have to meet someone. Now, frankly, we could do a whole video series just on the topic of meeting someone. And we probably will someday in the future, after we've run out of the good ideas. For now, though, we can say that some would argue that trying to meet someone when you are chronically ill and disabled is like trying to juggle flaming chainsaws with one hand tied behind your back, and also being blind, and also your other hand tied behind your back, whatever. You know what I mean. Let's just say it's hard. Now, there are so many things to consider when in that initial getting to know someone phase. Do I play my symptoms down? Do I hold some details back? Do I spray my mess all over them like a fire hose of misery? The real burning questions. It's a fine line, and you don't want to scare someone off, but you also don't want to lie about your illness or disability, because then you'll start things under false pretenses. And relationships that start from a lie are always super healthy. So, you usually end up somewhere in the middle, right? And you have to answer questions like some of the ones I've had. Yeah. Are you contagious? No? Are you asking if you can catch a hip replacement? Can you have sex? Yes. Yes, twice on Sundays. You don't look sick. Is it that bad? What's today? It's a minefield, okay? And the crazy part is, even if I do fully explain to someone what they're in for, they always say the same thing, always. I don't care, that's fine. I can handle it. Yeah, so far I'm 0 for 3 in people handling it. So, once you've met someone and gotten past that initial stage, then comes the hard part. Showing your significant other what living with chronic illness and disability is really like. I mean, really like. Like as in real life, the life we live every day, not the pretend TV and movie version of disability, where people are always upbeat and positive and face their shortcomings with plucky grit. Ha ha! It's always a shock when that first real moment hits. For me, it was dislocating one of my prosthetic hips while in bed with someone within the first few months. Talk about humiliating! I literally humped my own leg off. Yeah, then I had to get wheeled out in an ambulance chair, wrapped in a sheet, just like Julius Caesar being carried to his throne. It was at that point that the full truth of what life is like with someone who is chronically ill and disabled hit home, and the relationship ended shortly after. Ha ha, what a shock. Despite what many people say, I found that most are ill-prepared for what awaits them, no matter how well you explain it. And unfortunately, you end up in a relationship full of the P word. Pity. Why? What were you thinking? Pity. That word comes up again and again when it comes to relationships. Heck, I've had a potential girlfriend tell me, don't I get credit for not pitying you? Well, now that you said it, no, you don't. You don't even get half credit. You know what? I'll grant you a check minus, no pumpkin sticker. How about that? Pity plays a huge part in all aspects of relationships, and it's not just one-sided. There have been times where I've thrown myself a pity party for sure, complete with pity party hats and pity 7-layer bean dip. The 7th layer is regret. Pity can spoil any burgeoning relationship faster than a vegetarian at a barbecue contest. No one wants to be pitied. No one wants to be around someone who is pitied. No one wants to have the pity, the reason they get or do anything. Yeah, that's why that friend who comes around and says all the time that he got pity sex from someone makes you just go, dude, no. In fact, you should probably go. It's not an emotion anybody wants anything to do with. Give or take, it's kind of like the capers of emotions. Yeah, the capers. Okay, they're capers, no thanks. But you love burgers. Yeah, because they don't come with capers. Now, assuming that you make it past all of that, all the capers part of the relationship, and you get hurdles and you get everything, and you make it to the part where you get married or you end up in another long-term relationship. Things don't just suddenly get normal. There are still so many unique things to deal with. Put aside all the surgeries and illnesses and limitations and consider the emotional part for a second. Being a disabled person in a long-term relationship is like being Nash from Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Yeah, you feel like you have to constantly prove you belong there, and if you leave, you'll be alone forever. Also, you have to help clean David Crosby's beard. Yeah, no, not that last part, but it's true. The majority of chronically ill and disabled people in a long-term relationship invariably feel that they always need to go above and beyond and sort of, bank good favor for the times when they will inevitably be a burden on their significant other. It creates a very unique form of guilt that leads to always pushing yourself beyond your limits because you feel that your partner is, and this is for lack of a better word, saddled with you. Like a football team with a quarterback who came out of retirement. Yeah, that always works out. You tell yourself deep down that it's this place or nowhere. It's a never-ending wonderland of feeling like you are the one who got lucky that someone put up with you. Now, of course, this is probably not true in a great number of cases, and many healthy people relationships have similar, if not bigger, problems. Look, it may not make sense, but it's just something that those of us who are chronically ill and disabled deal with emotionally, right? Because emotions always make complete sense. God, I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of what being in a relationship with someone who is chronically ill and disabled is really like, all right? We only covered the most basic emotions and issues that come up. But things can get so much more complicated. I mean, I don't even want to bring you down, but there's even people out there, yes, who will take emotional advantage of the disabled, or worse. Yeah, it's just another one of the challenges that we face, and we'll get into that, I promise, much more in depth in another video. For now, though, please, if you like Chronic Briefs, please give us a like, a share, subscribe. It'll help get our message out to more and more people. And as always, though, be kind, rewind, keep on keeping on, and we'll talk soon. No puppies or kittens were harmed in the making of this video. However, one small bird did get food poisoning from craft services.